Hello and welcome to part 80. In this video, we will continue our discussion on operator overloading and try to create a simple program using operator overloading. Let's suppose you have a class with the name box. Okay. So box class has three properties: length, width, and height. Okay. And you have created two box objects. Let's say box 1 and box 2. And now what you want to do in your program, you want to check if box 1 is greater than box 2, right? You want to do some if logic, and based on this logic you want to do some programming, right? Okay, so here we are using greater than operator on box 1 object, and our box class is not overloading greater than operator. Okay, so we need to overload the greater than operator, and we need to provide the logic how we can tell if box 1 is greater than box 2 or not. So in our case, let's assume we want to calculate the volume, and we will say if volume of box 1 is greater than volume of box 2, then box 1 is greater than box 2, right? So this is what we want to achieve. So now let's go to Visual Studio and try to create this application. I have opened up my Visual Studio. Now let's create a box class. Public class box, right? And as we have discussed, box will have three properties. Let's create a constructor also. And even now we can create these properties as private because we already provided the constructor for the user. Okay, so people can use this constructor to create objects of box class. Now let's create two box objects. And now I want to check if box 1 is greater than box 2. I have created an if else block where I am checking if box 1 is greater than box 2, then I'm printing box 1 is greater than box 2, else I am printing box 2 is greater than box 1. And if you notice, we are getting a red squiggly line here, and that is because we have not overloaded this operator in our box class. So now let's do one thing. Let's overload this operator and try to implement the logic that we have discussed, meaning we will check if the volume of box 1 is greater than box 2 or not and return the result accordingly. Before overloading the operator, let's create one more method that will be calculate, or let's call it get volume, right? And this will do nothing. This will just return so we are not doing anything. We're just calculating the volume and returning that volume from this method. And I have created this method as private, so I cannot invoke this method from my demo class. Now let's overload this operator. So if you remember from the last video, we need to give private keyword here, then it needs to be static. After that, we need to provide the return type of my method because it will return a boolean. So I will say boolean, and then I need to use the operator keyword, and then I need to specify which operator I want to overload. So in this case, I want to overload the greater than operator, and I will provide the parameters which this will take. So this will take a box 1, let's call it b1, and box 2, let's call it b2, right? Once that is done, we need to check the volume of box 1 and box 2 and return the result accordingly. So let's say integer volume of box 1, let's call it volume 1, equal to b1 dot get volume, right? And similarly volume 2 equal to b2 dot get volume. And now we can just check if volume 1 is greater than volume 2, then return true, else we can return false. Once you have done this thing, and you will notice you are still getting a compilation error. If you hover over on that, you will notice the operator box dot operator greater than requires a matching operator less than. So guys, whenever you are overloading greater than symbol, you also need to overload the less than symbol also. So let's provide the definition of less than operator also. Let's do this. Now change our greater than operator to less than operator, right? And this time I will check if volume 1 is less than volume 2, then return true, else return false. Okay. Now you notice the compilation error is gone. And if I build my program, you can see build is successful. Now we can run this program. You can see here we are getting box 2 is greater than box 1 because volume of box 2 is still greater than the box 1 volume. And if I reduce this height here, let's say 2 here, and run the program again, you will notice now it is saying box 1 is greater than box 2. So guys, this is how you can overload operators in C# and create some useful applications using it. So that's it for this video guys. In the next video, we will start our discussion on multi-threading.